Hey guys, welcome back. We are back for part 2 of the AfterBuzz TV after show for Cobra Kai. We are so pumped to break down the rest of the series for you guys. Hang out with us when we get to part 2 right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, we're still the best around. We're still in part 2. Oh, there you go. Strobe lights.
Oh, it's a real party.
I can't dance. I'm gonna stop dancing.
It's okay. It's all
Put
right.
them in a body bag.
We don't need to dance. We
Yeah,
just
there you
need
go.
to know our karate.
Yeah, for those on audio, there were some good moves you missed, but we're on video here, and we're bringing you part 2 of the AfterBuzz TV after show for Cobra Kai. This series, amazing. I'm so excited about talking about this series. I haven't been this excited about TV in a long time. Honestly, like it's probably the top show I've seen in a year or two.
I think my entire life.
Well, it's because you're a big movie guy. That's
I mean,
why.
I still watch the big shows, and I have my after shows I've covered here, but this is like another level for me. I burned through this series. Seriously, I took almost no breaks.
For me, it's up there with Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones.
I love it.
I went right
Wow!
in terms of enjoyment. No, in terms of enjoyment.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
loved it.
100%.
Pure joy. So, you guys can check out part 1 on AfterBuzz available now. We have a lot to talk about. So, a lot happens in the second chapter here. We get a ton of huge breaking developments with our main characters, and I think probably good to start out with...
I think start out by saying
Johnny.
hello to the millennial side of the table,
Oh, okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Rick Hong and Veronica. our
That's
rookie.
right, because
He's only 15.
That's
He's
right.
not
That's
a
right. Hey
millennial.
guys.
Oh, sorry. He's Gen Z. He's Gen Z.
And I got Veronica.
What's up, guys?
Veronica is our. So as we said before, Veronica is our rookie.
She's a rookie, yeah.
She's rookie to the dojo. So
She's still a white belt, but we'll see if she gets to be a yellow belt by the end of the series
There
here.
we go.
we're the
Girl can
black.
dream.
Yeah, we're the black sleeveless by the end of it. It's cool. It's cool. We'll get you one. Kev, how you doing?
I don't. I could talk about this show forever.
I know I almost skipped my intros. I was so excited to just get to talking about it.
Exactly.
I am Ben Bateman. You guys can follow my exploits on this show as we talk about it right now.
Right now.
So let's talk. Let's talk Johnny, because I think kind of going into the second bit of the show. There's a question. Is he our hero or not? Right. Like we talked a little bit on part 1 about him being an anti-hero. You're not supposed to love him originally, and I think at this point, you're kind of in the middle of the series. You start to really feel like he is the guy. Like for me at this point, I'm all in on Johnny. I'm in. What about you?
I was all in from the very first scene. When I saw him on the ground with the beer, I felt bad for him, and I want. 30 years later, I was able to compute in my brain that this guy's paid for whatever crimes. I mean, he
Right.
conceivably paid when he got beat up by Kreese, but he paid, and now I was already in.
Okay.
So only more so.
See, is he our hero? I don't know about that necessarily, but because I don't think there is a hero yet, but I'm invested.
Right.
I'm definitely
That's the most important part.
invested.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm invested in him for sure.
No, definitely. There are moments where I'm just like, you do like 2 steps forward, and then he says something like politically incorrect, and then he goes all the way back to square one. But to say that he's like a complete hero, he messes up. But I think he's like likable, and
Right.
I'm all in for it.
Veronica, would you have a crush on him? That character. I'm just saying, female. But is he
Like,
seen
like
as
would
a?
I have a crush
Well,
on a Johnny or William Zabka?
William Zabka, like I'm just saying, when you see an anti-hero, right? Think about like when Stallone or even The Rock, or play the anti-hero character, or dating myself, like a Steve McQueen, or Charles Bronson. So that I would like to hear.
Okay, I'm sorry again. Dating like that type of character. Intrigued in that type of character.
I'm just saying, when you see him, is that?
I feel for him.
Yeah,
I would definitely say so.
But attractive? Does he seem too like handsome leading man? Like, wow, he's so hot, or is it just like old guy and?
I mean, I would say he's definitely like a handsome older man, but as far as like that kind of character goes, like
You wouldn't have a crush on him. I'm trying to say
No.
Okay.
I think they set him up pretty quickly to be more, you feel compassionate and attracted to him. Because one of the earliest scenes is him in the Pontiac hitting on the yoga girl. And it's kind of a creep. He's kind of a creep when he pulls that move. And so that's like, I think they established pretty quickly, this guy, it's going to take a little bit of rehab for you to really be on this guy's side. We're part 2. Let's wait till part 3 before this guy's attractive to me, personally. What do you think so?
Come on, I'm him. So of course, I was hoping
Yeah.
that he'd be seen that way.
You were
but,
hoping we were all going to say yes.
yeah, but okay. All right.
Okay. So at this point in time, we've got a dojo now being opened. Johnny has decided that that's going to be his salvation. We talked about the Iron Eagle stuff, and he has seen this is what he's going to have to do. So Miguel is going to be his boy. That's going to be his son, because from what we've seen so far in the series at this point, his relationship to his actual son, we haven't seen a lot of good stuff there. Right. Yeah, and so we get this dojo opening, but Johnny has been taxed. And we'll talk a little bit about LaRusso in a second, but he doesn't know where it's coming from, but his rent's going up. So now the challenges to keep this thing going are twofold. And he has to really buy into his dream.
And the health inspectors.
Right. There's a lot of hoops he's got to jump through. He can't just drink a Coors, put a Cobra on the wall, and it's all going to work out.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. It's not as simple as just like, okay, let's put an open sign.
Yeah, right.
And people are going to start coming through the doors. There's a lot of hurdles that he has to hit. In the reality of like, what I thought was my dream, and the reality is completely different.
Right. So Sam's best friend growing up, the female character that comes to the dojo, that he gives a real hard time to and says she has brittle bones. I don't have her name written down in front of me.
Aisha.
There you go.
Aisha.
This is like, I think, one of the key characters in this show, and I think her relationship to Johnny is very symbolic of like, she is supposed to represent right now, and he is supposed to represent the 1980s, and the way they clash is hilarious, but also incredibly indicative of how the show goes. I mean, especially because of sort of where she ends up, which we'll get to later. But when he first meets her, he's just like, no, you're a girl. Not going to happen.
Listen, can you imagine Aisha walking into 1984 Cobra Kai with Kreese?
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine with those scary guys? Would you ever see the day?
The jeans would be higher waisted. They'd also be acid wash.
Okay. And then once we're over that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would be... It seems like a hate crime. Like, just outright. Like, just even the thought of it. It just does not seem good.
Oh, the
does not seem
times,
good.
They have changed.
Yes, seriously. Yeah. I think the way she's woven into this series as a character is probably one of my favorite parts. I think it's actually one of the most brilliant pieces of writing in this series. From the second you meet her as Sam's childhood friend, to the minute she starts training, to, again, we'll get there later where she ends up. I was very impressed by her as a character.
And great writing because she comes from money.
Yes.
Which Miguel says to him, hey, boss, like come on.
If you want if you want the money to keep this dojo up.
Right. Her dad's on the Chargers, right? Or it was on the Chargers.
Right. And, the other thing is let's go to the high school dance and market and put up flyers.
Right. So...
Right?
The high school dance you mentioned is one of the really important parts of this, and it's because obviously it mirrors another thing from the Karate Kid, right? This original dance, this traumatic scene where Daniel gets beaten up after the dance and the skeleton costumes and all this. So we kind of get to rehash it, but of course Johnny's on site because he's got to get new students. So I thought that this dance and the way that it all came together was just like wonderful, and the way that you get a half face off again between Machio and Johnny, but not entirely, right? They keep teasing it.
Well, just even him suggesting, you know what, you need a costume, buddy? Great idea. This is always my go-to. It's fantastic, and I love that he's starting to mentor Miguel, right? And then realistically, he's there hanging flyers,
right?
And again, it's the reverse. It's not Miguel and a bunch of friends in skeleton costumes terrorizing people. It's actually ends up being quite the opposite, which I think is genius. Great writing.
It's another moment of nostalgia from the original series. So I think there were a couple things about this show that I was incredibly impressed with, and one of them was its ability to just drop in those little nuggets here and there, and it doesn't ever feel heavy-handed. Like reboots sometimes have that nature where they feel like they're trying to jam down your throat this old these old imagery and these old storylines, and it's like it's written before it's written. Mm-hmm. People had problems with Force Awakens in some ways for that reason. It felt like you were just watching Star Wars again, literally the same movie. Right. And this doesn't feel like that. They're just employing it correctly, I think.
Because they put a good spin on it. With the skeleton Halloween costumes are iconic in the sense of it's scary, right? Because you saw all those guys bully Daniel, beat the crap out of him in that costume. Yeah. But this time around, it's Miguel, and he's like one guy. So all of a sudden, it's like it's not quite, and he's kind of a nerdy dude. So all of a sudden, it's like they changed how you view that costume all of a sudden because he's not like this badass kid.
So let me ask you guys a question because I think this is really important, right? So we're in the first half of the series, and he wears this costume. It's like foreshadowing a little bit, right? He's Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai was originally bad. When the series ends, how we actually feel about him is relative, but like when you see him in that costume, is there a party that goes, I wonder if this Miguel kid's actually gonna be my protagonist? Is he gonna be good? Am I gonna root for him this whole way through? Or am I supposed to see him in this costume and get a sense that maybe, just maybe, he's not gonna be the good guy? What do you guys think?
At that exact moment, I never thought that. I thought that he was being painted to be like Daniel. You know, he moved from he moved to Reseda. He was bullied. He was the victim. He was beaten up. He's still being beaten up. So at that exact moment, the idea of foreshadowing and maybe he's not supposed to be the one I'm rooting for didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. I was rooting for him. I was rooting for him. Like, if you talk about heroes or whoever, this kid is the guy that I was going for.
Yeah. Me too. What about you, Kev?
100%. Yeah. No, I did not see the foreshadowing at all. And now that you mention it, that was the foreshadowing of the. It's almost like. Right in Star Wars, where they almost the dark side of the Force overtakes them.
Yeah, right.
When they start playing or messing around with the different uniforms or whatever, or
sure, right,
different props.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's really interesting as we go back, sort of now, piece by piece. But so the school dance is happening, and we've gotten this. We know that Daniel is afraid that something's going on with Kyler. We don't know exactly yet, right. but he's worried about it, and so he decides that he's gonna chaperone the dance. Which Kyler's obviously not thrilled about. I love the line, "Just don't embarrass me, Dad." And you're like, I'm thinking, what could that mean? What could he possibly do to embarrass you? Maybe everything under the sun, right?
Like show up?
Yeah, just show up, right. Say anything. So we get to the dance here, and a couple things happen. Obviously, as I mentioned, we have this kind of showdown between Daniel and Johnny, which it's interesting that they keep on the literal art for the show, right? It's the two. Well. Pictures, it's like the two of them facing off.
Yes.
All the ads. So the ad for the show, initially I'm like, well, they have to fight, right? I'm like, they have to, in episode 1 they're gonna fight. They've got to fight.
They even set it up at some point in Dojo where you see Daniel steps up.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're in it's like that squared ring all over again. So it's I agree with you. It's like you think.
You keep waiting for it to happen.
But you wanna, if you're a writer, you wanna push that off as far as possible, and there is much discussion that it will be the ultimate end of the series that will end it when they do fight. But who's to say? But I think you push that as much as you can.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen too early. But every time they meet, you're like, is somebody gonna throw a punch? Is what's gonna happen? But at this dance, obviously, you've got two things going on, right? One of them is that Sam and Kyler, they're hiding up in a room. They run off. Daniel sees this and he chases them down. And we're really starting to get the picture painted that Kyler is a dickbag. He's class A. He's not a good dude. He pulls this bracelet move, right? Ugh, just the worst. Just the worst. I was just pulling out this bracelet, sir, to give to your daughter. It was my grandmother's. For even 1% of you think that he's telling the truth right there?
Absolutely not.
0%, right?
Dude, but but at the same time, man, he's a nice Asian boy that I think so. Right. I'm thinking, I was like, maybe that's a Rick Hong move, actually. I got a nice bracelet for you, my man.
I'm gonna throw. I do this on Billions all the time, and sometimes it succeeds, it connects, and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm gonna throw a long Hail Mary pass to the future.
Yeah.
I think some third kind of dojo opens, and Kyler gets trained, and it's an opportunity for Daniel and Johnny to have a common enemy for one moment.
I like that.
Just, again, way long bomb, just throwing it out there.
There's definitely opportunities.
Because he's got the size, he's a mean kid, and I feel like we're not gonna see these guys go to college, or you may later, but we're still gonna be in the high school world next season, I think.
So be sure to stay tuned, guys. We're going to do 4 parts of this, and at the end of part 4, we will have a significant spoiler prediction section, because I know we all have ideas about what we think is going to happen.
Yeah, this is a way long bomb.
Yeah.
This isn't for next season.
We can revisit.
It's a long bomb.
We can revisit, and you can really explore at the end of the 4th one there, because I have a lot of ideas. I can't wait. And if characters coming back, all that stuff. So, so that's part 1 of what happens in the dance, right? Now, part 2, obviously, is that after Kyler goes downstairs, he ends up beating the crap out of Miguel with his friends. And this is, again, it's another mirror to that first movie, to this fight that happens. But this time, because Johnny's already saved him once, he's not going to save him a second time. So he does throw a kick, though. It's the first moment we get where Miguel really stands up and throws that kick, right? Kicks him straight in the chest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we want at that point we're hoping that he's learned something.
Well, it's almost like I didn't mean to interrupt, Rick. I'm sorry. I was gonna say it's almost like when when Daniel first struck Johnny. And remember, he had basic training. Remember he kicked the gate open in the Reseda apartment complex in the first movie. So he had like the most basic training. I took some lessons back in Jersey.
YMCA.
Right? Yeah. And he strikes, he does the one strike to Johnny, and then that's it. And then Johnny just wipes him off. So once again, Easter egg, like kind of a little homage to the past.
Right.
A little parallel.
The teasing. So, but what this results in, unfortunately, is Miguel is told by his mom that he can no longer train. He is after he gets his butt kicked. This is supposed to be the first indicator that he's not going to be able to keep training, which none of us really think is going to happen, of course. But it's an important beat to hit because it's another obstacle. Because at this point, Miguel is our hero, really. I mean, I think probably
he's also one of our only students.
I think at this point he's the only committed student. Right, Aisha has maybe she's a maybe student.
Maybe, yeah.
So I think pretty much aside from those two storylines, the other Johnny storyline that's really important at this point in the series is that we do get a little bit more of his relationship to his actual son, who's a troublemaker. As we mentioned in part 1, I think he's a little reminiscent of Jonathan Taylor Thomas in the 90s. He's
punk version.
Yeah, but he's like he's definitely a heartthrob. Can we all agree?
Actually, you know what?
Okay.
Ryder Strong. Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
That's who I think he looks more like.
No, I agree.
Like
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
All right, Home Improvement.
Okay, Veronica, so would crush on him. Too young?
Probably too young, yeah.
Okay.
Big shout out to Roxy Stryer. She literally said the exact same reference you did, Rick. That was her first thought. Ryder Strong. No hesitation at all.
Ryder Strong.
Yeah, but that kid's a little heartbreaker, no doubt about it. And his buddies are like classic high school hoodlums.
Oh, bad.
Just bad news. They just want to skip school, eat your cereal, steal things, get you into trouble.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good at all.
Not good.
So Johnny, he shows up because his kid's skipping school. He's on a river rafting trip for 3 weeks. He's been gone. So he shows up and he kind of stands up. But this is like really interesting, right? Because like the very beginning of the show, Johnny's been he's been like an MIA parent.
Yeah.
And you feel like right when you first meet him, you're like, his heart's in the right place, but he's not going to do jack. He's not going to do anything to stand up and take care of his life. This is a big step in the right direction.
Yes.
He shows up to take care of business. You also realize at this point, the mom's probably not very good news.
Yeah.
She's not around.
Yeah, I think like one of the reasons why he starts to show up, obviously, is because the mom is starting to become MIA. Like I'm sure when Robbie was like a kid, the mom probably picked up the slack. Johnny was just out of the picture and the mom was always taking care of it. But now she's kind of starting to go out and do her own thing and not really pay so much attention. So, of course, Johnny is starting to get involved because all of that is coming back on him now.
Yeah.
I think she's always done her own thing.
Right.
But Johnny's becoming more self-aware. He's arcing, he's growing. So he's starting to see things he didn't see in his past. He's getting more responsible. And yeah, he tries. And typically when you see this, when the parents all of a sudden try to come back, what do you always see the kids say? Oh, now you're my dad?
Yeah, where you been?
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, and I think it's also like there's one interaction in that scene that was really important, right? When he actually sees his ex-wife, and she's like, "You don't get to just come in and just show up now. Where were you? And you were nowhere to be found." And then he says, "Well, I'm here now." I think that's such an important line for him to say because it's like he's not saying, "Well, I had something better to do. What I did was okay. There was a reason." He's literally just saying, "Well, be as mad as you want, but I'm here now. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to help me help you?" Right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a crucial moment for him.
And I mean, I don't know if it's too early to say this, but I think like Robbie sees that too. Like he was very much against Johnny coming in because he hadn't been there. But as soon as I think he started seeing his mom kind of, not being home or not spending time with him, then he's like, okay, well, my dad's trying now.
Yeah, right.
I always see, I've had many, many kids that I've known and friends who've had this kind of relationship with dads. And 100% of them, at least in my experience, deep down, no matter what they've said, they hate their parent or they don't like, they really are sad and wish they had some kind of connection. And you see that in this kid.
Yeah.
That he's like, he's mad at the father, but deep down, he wants to, have a relationship with him.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. And it's reflected in his reaction to a scene we'll talk about just here in a second with Miguel, obviously. And he definitely is longing for his father.
Yeah.
I think it's very clear. And he's troubled. And he's a young kid. I think all the kids in the show are probably supposed to be about 16. Right around that age.
Yeah,
same as
cusp of
reference.
driving, because like that's what we kind of learn in Karate Kid too. Like
Yeah.
Daniel gets his driver's license in the Karate Kid, or yeah, gets his license in the Karate Kid. So.
Sam is referenced as 16 in one of the episodes, and I think all the rest you're supposed to assume are kind of around the same age. So it's a petulant age, obviously. It's an adolescent age. But so we do actually get to meet the mom. This is one of my favorite scenes. She's a piece of work. Oh man, what's his line that he says? She won't go down on you unless you buy her dessert.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of my favorite moments of the whole show. The guy just like, I'm gonna go grab a table.
Yeah.
And then as he's walking away, what's he say? They have a great apple cobbler here. There.
Oh boy.
Oh no, that was great. I love Johnny. I just love him. Sitting down, just
Pretty damn cool.
yeah. He's just all business, right?
Uh-oh. Millennial side table's getting quiet.
Oh no.
What? Oh.
No, I know. I'm no, because I'm thinking about the line, and then you sang that line, and I'm like, yeah, that's it's this is the time, and we hear that line all the time. But then I'm thinking back to the movies,
Right.
And it's like you don't really ever hear that kind of derogatory talk in the first one,
Right.
You don't hear that, definitely not in the second one. The third one, you don't hear it. The fourth one, I don't think you hear that kind of language or that. So it's also a point of storytelling.
Well, it's right from the point of view of the writers. They have to think, okay, so the people that watched this movie, that loved these movies when they were coming out, it was kids and then their parents taking them to the movies. They got to assume 34 years later, who's watching this stuff? They're going to get some kids. They're going to get a lot of people in their 40s and 50s. They have to advance the material a little bit.
I get the bulk is older, and then they know that you can get a lot of father, son, daughter, watching together.
Yeah.
But also, listen, Johnny came up in a different world. It's
Right.
ball breaking. I mean, the kind of ball breaking that generation does to one another.
Right.
Is no big deal, but a millennial would just cry, be like, "Wait, we're friends," or like, "You don't say that stuff to me," think of how offensive that line is to a woman.
Oh,
Right?
remarkably.
But-
It's
but-
his ex-wife, so he's got all this anger.
But I
Yeah.
go back east and I tell you, my friends who own garages and things like that. That's it. That's all. It's
Right.
just the horrible.
I think that's it's derogatory and it's inappropriate, but it's realistic.
That's
People-
what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm
100%
saying.
that way.
Well, that generation,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
different world.
Yeah, you give people.
So I love it.
And it's his ex-wife. He's gonna be rude to her. That's things didn't work out. You have to assume there's a reason. It doesn't seem like either one of them are killing it at that point. So
No,
there's
no.
definitely no
Well, she
love,
doesn't look like mother of the year or wife of
No.
the year either.
no love lost there.
I mean, at least if the guy was like kind of good looking or whatever, but like that guy, man, I was like, oh, I was like, really? I was like, oh.
Bad news. Yeah. Yeah. So, but so he shows up and he's really trying to assert himself, but he can't quite. Doesn't quite have the energy. I think again talking about the sort of PG-13 PG versus maybe R. This isn't quite R. It's more PG-13 nature. It is interesting to note that Will Smith is a producer on the series, and he obviously the previous film, the 2010 film, starred his son, so he's still involved doing this. The choice, because he's the biggest name attached to this, obviously. When they're going in to pitch the series, as soon as he's involved, we've got Will Smith making this. It's like a whole other level of acclaim. I'm sure he has to have some amount of. Do we want this to go in that direction? Do we want this to be?
I don't think he does.
You don't think so?
No, I think this was on its way, and they had to get permission from Will Smith because Will bought the rights. He and his brother-in-law bought the rights, so Jaden could star in it, and he's necessary. You can't do it without him. But from what I understand is they put all the pieces together, and of course Will being like, yeah, free money, yeah, I'm in.
You don't think that because obviously Will has been so deliberate with the choices he's made as an actor and the kind of things his name's attached to over the years that he would have had some amount of creative sway on this?
No, I think no. I think because also knowing Will, he's not a micromanager, ball buster of a guy. He's totally somebody that gets behind people's dreams, and I think he's had enough people screw with him creatively. And I think that when you're getting, these guys with this writing background, you guys go at it. Whatever you need from me, let me know. But you're gonna basically bring me money and put this. Great, good for you. Because I don't think so.
Here's a question for you. We talked about this a little bit off air, but just on the subject, I know there's a script. A friend of mine actually is one of the writers on it for Karate Kid 2, for the sequel to the one from 2010, starring Jaden.
Or as I would call it, the Kung Fu Kid.
Sure,
2.
yeah. My question is, do you think the success of this show means we're more likely to see that get made in the near future?
Yes.
It'll get out of the tube now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? And who knows if they'll play around with the
Right.
two worlds?
Yeah,
And,
crossover.
No, totally.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Totally going to happen. And I think I know what they're talking about with Jaden and like the next
Yeah.
part of his journey. So yeah, I think that's going to happen.
Interesting. All right, so I do want to continue moving through the characters at this point and see kind of what's going on now with LaRusso and the LaRusso family. So we have this whole storyline with the dick on the billboard. This is like probably one of my favorite things at this point in the show that had happened.
Again, just ball breaking.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's completely politically correct, but
there are so many things about the dick billboard sequence that I find so funny. Probably highlighted by my single favorite, which is that when he goes to confront Cole, he offers boba, like bubble tea, to everybody. It's just like one of those details where you're like, one of the guys that wrote this has to like love bubble tea or knew somebody that did that.
Right,
because there's no way that you write that into your script as this like obnoxious characteristic unless you did, right? Yeah, I thought that was so good. But yeah, so he's driving into the office, he finds out about the billboard. You get introduced to his rival, which is, I think, totally believable.
And I think that rival will pay off in some way.
Totally.
With Johnny or whoever, you'll see.
He'll back
he's
Johnny's
not going
dojo.
Whatever, he's not going away.
Another morsel of a character dropped.
Yeah. 100%. The actor who I recognize, by the way, I couldn't think of his name. The guy that plays Cole. He's one of those character actors who's always like...
You see him in everything.
Right. Yeah, he's always like the dirtbag lawyer or something, Yeah, so, he's whatever. But so we drive past the billboard, we see Cole, and then we see, the giant dick billboard. And and just the jokes just keep on coming. The sausages sent to the dealership, all of it. And just Daniel, as you said, he's got trauma, being bullied.
Yep.
He cannot help himself.
Nope.
He has to drive out and see Tom Cole. And this results in, at this point in the series, my single fist pump moment, which was the boba kick. The roundhouse boba kick, I was so pleased with. I almost got up and like started cheering. It was just like one of those things. I don't know. I was so.
No, it was cool to see Daniel.
Yeah.
He's been so yuppie and passive, and to see that, it was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
Got
we
some
never,
fire in you.
Yeah, we haven't seen him do his moves
Yeah.
in forever.
I think that again, another thing. Season 2.
Yeah.
It'll be now. You'll see him fight more.
Yeah, because don't you think that it's like they did a really smart thing to kind of constantly paint him as still a square. The way he polices his daughter's friends. And it's funny, like he won. He wins the match. He's the one that gets money. He has the beautiful wife, the wonderful family. But you're like, come on, man.
That's what I said. Johnny's life is cooler. Yeah. Drive your Firebird. Be drunk. And I love living in a single apartment. That means it's cheap. I got my flat panel. I'm watching my Iron Eagle.
I know you love Firebirds. I know that.
Yeah, right? I'm happy as anything. And I don't want to be in Daniel's life. I don't want all that responsibility. And I don't want to live the square life.
Was there a part of you guys that for just a quick second when he shows up to see Tom Cole thought that maybe he's gonna hit him? Like he was actually going to kick him?
No, because that goes against everything that he ever learned from Mr. Miyagi.
Right.
So I would say if he were to have done that, then that is not staying consistent with his character and his teachings, and so that part, no.
It also would be bad writing because he'd be so liable.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny has nothing to lose. Right, he can do. What are they going to take from him? His Firebird.
And we already saw Johnny beat a bunch of people up, so you don't want both of them doing it.
Right.
That's not the show. That wouldn't make any sense.
Season 2.
Yeah.
They
go on the run together. But yeah, he goes to see Tom Cole, and you're like, all right, he's trying to keep it together. He kicks the bubble tea. You're like, okay, this guy's still got some moves. He's still got something.
A little bit.
And so at this point, now we know, okay, there's a rivalry because, as I mentioned previously, this stuff with the real estate. Daniel has decided he's going to set up this lunch meeting with this real estate guy, this guy who owns a strip mall, and he's going to try to get all the rent doubled.
Can we discuss the casting
Yeah.
of this guy?
Yeah.
Wasn't he just amazing? Was he just grotesque and obnoxious? He was beautiful.
Yeah, he was like everything that you'd be like, this is what a strip mall owner in the valley,
right?
Like, he owns a strip mall in the valley. You're like, this guy.
All the way
100%.
to his son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, and he goes in to personally say, you need to raise the rent, or whatever the accent is bad.
Right. Well, I love, and completely suspicious. So when Daniel makes this deal, he's like, oh, you're up to something. I'm not stupid. Yeah. I'm not going to sell to you.
You scratch my balls,
I was
I'll
about
scratch
to
yours.
say.
Yeah. Right? Awesome.
Funny writing. Really good jokes used at the right moments.
Great casting, and his wardrobe was fantastic.
It was terrific.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they did the thing, and then I love after the rent gets raised, and I like one of my favorite moments is when the wife looks at Daniel and she's just like, "Hey, where's the guy I married? You're acting like a crazy. You're acting like what the hell's going on?"
But to go on your note, I think like what's important, because like this entire time Daniel is trying so hard to get Cobra Kai shut down.
Yeah.
And it's like also important to remember that sure his problems were with Johnny, and Johnny was part of Cobra Kai, but also he was coached by some like Terry Silver, who was like part of like founded Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And they like psychologically wrecked him. He went against everything Miyagi taught him. He was frustrated with Miyagi. So it's not just like Johnny and Johnny being a part of Cobra Kai. It's like he saw the inside of like what Cobra Kai teaches, and he could not deal with it.
Right.
Well, it was too awful.
And what we always know of Daniel, this just goes to your case about who is the villain, who's the hero of the first movie, is that Daniel's a hothead.
Right.
He's a hothead, and that's
Italian. Sorry, I can say I'm one of them.
He's a hothead, so
Right.
that stays consistent with like his character from the original Karate Kid, because that's what did get him in trouble, is that he was a hothead. Remember, like on the soccer field,
Right.
Remember, he instigated. That was Daniel instigating a fight. But same thing here too, like going there and then like now trying to shut down Johnny. I mean, there's like that hot-headedness of like, why do you care about this guy who's not in your life anymore?
Right.
What does it matter if he's
Hothead,
doing
and a
this?
charge is up on him from the past, the post-traumatic stress disorder we mentioned earlier.
And it's a great moment that the wife is like, "Did you even think about the other people in the strip mall?" Like, it's a great. It's, she brings us right back to center.
She's a
It's
great
like,
wife, and she's strong, and she's not just the cheerleader type who's with her quarterback husband and thinking everything he does is amazing. She's like, no, and plus she runs the dealership. She's a problem solver, and I love how she's a straight shooter with him, and she's got such a great perspective.
Yeah.
I also like how she tries to give him perspective on Sam's friends. Like Daniel's completely against him. He's like, he sees them as mean girls. Like, why can't she just be friends with Aisha? But the wife was like, mean girls, they're mean. Girls are mean in high school. Like, let her
Like live and let live.
Right.
Let them go on their journey.
Trying to like draw the connection where she's like, I'm not that far in age from high school. She's like, I was high school 20 years ago. Come on, give me some slack. I know what she's going through, And I think she's probably supposed to be in her 40s, but I think that actress is like late 30s. But anyway, and gorgeous, just absolutely stunning. But to sort of wrap up that plot line, we get to the midpoint in the series, and I think that the midpoint in the series is the most essential part. So many big things happen right as we hit the middle. The biggest turning point in the whole series to me is the scene that we're gonna bring up now, which is Daniel visiting Miyagi's grave. It's the most meaningful moment in the whole series to me personally. Obviously, the flashbacks we've mentioned, they're used so perfectly in this show. Every time they go back to that old music, even pieces of like composition, pieces of the old score are used.
Like good old Bill Conti.
He goes to Miyagi's grave and he starts talking to it. And did you guys tear up? I teared up.
I teared up.
100%.
That was beautiful.
Right.
And remember what's weighing on his brain as well. Everything we've seen, but remember his daughter, we know he's super overprotective of Sam. We didn't really talk about that now, her romantic feelings and developments with Miguel.
Right, well, because it happens after the... So I wanted to wait to talk about the ass-kicking.
Sorry, I didn't get ahead.
Yeah, because I think that's the other...
Yeah.
This middle episode is so huge. There's 3 giant moments, right?
I think the part where he's at Miyagi's grave, I think that is the part where it so clearly defines what the 2 types of karates are. Miyagi, his karate was more balance and control, so someone whose life is out of whack might need that, whereas Cobra Kai is very much aggressive, this idea of strike first, be confident, don't take no for an answer, to in a sense build confidence. So at that moment is when you really see when the 2 types of karate are very clearly defined.
Great point.
Yeah, totally. And he has the moment, the flashback to Pat Morita, obviously. A lot of people don't remember this, but Pat Morita got a supporting actor nomination for The Karate Kid.
Yep.
That's no small feat that guy became one of the iconic characters of his generation. That was truly world-class.
And to give you a little background, he was not wanted for the role. I was watching an interview yesterday about it, but Jerry Weintraub, big fame late Hollywood producer, was saying, no way. This guy's from Happy Days. He's a comedian. What are we talking about?
Arnold?
Yeah.
Arnold?
Go get me the star of Seven Samurai. There was like a veteran actor that they wanted, and it was John Avildsen saying, no, just please read this guy. And Avildsen, who videotaped everything. He videotaped everyone's audition. He literally, when you met him, he had a video camera on his shoulder, every casting person. So even when he met Pat Morita, it's like, oh, hello. He was shooting him already, and they were talking. And he ended up, at the time, as luck would have it, Pat Morita had facial hair. He was a little depressed. He was in Hawaii. He was doing stand-up comedy. He was doing little things to make ends meet. He was really struggling, and he was depressed. So he let his beard grow. He let his facial hair grow, and he didn't look like Arnold, from Happy Days. He had a different look. He came in and created that accent. Yeah, that accent and the grunting, and he did it all. And when they showed Weintraub was like, well, shit, who's this guy? This guy's perfect. We need him. And that's Pat Morita. And Weintraub actually, to his credit, called Morita and said, I am so sorry. Literally could have made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. You're clearly the guy. And like you said, he goes on to be nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah. And he got a TV series. He got a TV series after that, playing like a detective. And I think the show was called like O'Hara or something. I can't remember if it was on NBC, but he got a series like after the whole Karate Kid things from it too.
Yeah, 1984, I believe he lost the award to Hang S. Nor from The Killing Fields.
Who's the only Asian American male actor to ever win an Academy Award to date. 70-some years of the Academy Awards, he's the only one.
Yeah.
Interesting that he beat
another,
Pat Morita.
Yeah.
But I always, this is why I always have problems with the Academy, because whose role do you really remember?
Of course. And that's one of those, how many people are going to watch The Killing Fields tomorrow? How many people are going to watch The Karate Kid?
It goes back to Shakespeare in Love winning over a whole slew of films that we know to this day. And, anyway.
Great travesties. So I think that scene's amazing. There's so many, though. The next scene here in this episode that I love so much, and this is getting to Miguel, is this karate fight in the cafeteria. Because after we find out, after we get the whole deal with the dance, and then, we know Sam is not going to be long for hanging out with Kyler because of the bullying we see at school. She's in this movie. You do get a quick glimpse of her karate move. Because he's like, what's the matter, babe? And he puts his arm on her leg. She's like, get off of me, whack. And you're like, oh, she's going to be.
Yep.
You're like, she's going to be the real deal.
Yeah,
someday.
when you talk about foreshadowing, there it is.
100%. So right then, of course, he's like, she did this thing that she didn't do. And everybody's making fun of her and sending sausage jokes and whatnot. And Miguel's like, I know karate, bro. You stop talking about her. And this is such a great payoff moment. Again, this middle point in the series, I had so many fist bumps. When he starts kicking all those bullies' butts, it's right.
That fight was just, it was what I wanted.
Yep.
It was what I was waiting. Like, we got fights with Johnny in the beginning, and like your punch thing, your fist bump
moment?
Yeah, with the boba. But like, no, this fight was what I wanted, because it was finally like Miguel can handle himself.
Yeah.
Like, you can no longer touch him.
Right.
And Kyler kind of sees that after this. He's like, I'm not going to mess with this kid
scared
anymore.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
And it's even still at that point, I still don't see the protagonist that I'm believing being turned into the antagonist later on. Like, I still don't see it even then.
Yeah.
Even then, I still look at it as he's protecting Samantha's honor. So it's okay.
They do such a good job with that.
I even love the part where it's like, everyone sees that he was doing really well, like standing up for himself. He's like, oh yeah, what they call my house, but my grandma picked up. She'd never been more proud of me.
Yeah, right.
And I'd like to add one thing. I thought as a stunt wise, I thought his karate and his moves were very believable. And how would you rate him against Johnny at that age? William Babka.
Oh, Zabka.
Excuse me, Zabka.
But Zabka only had a few. He had a leg sweep. He
always kicked high.
A couple little punches, and then in the tournament scene, they cut through a lot of. There's only one really the guy that actually does the Miyagi crane kick.
Right.
Is one of the guys that's in the tournament.
So then that being the case, it seems that Miguel or the actor is, at least from what we see, is better than what Johnny was at that age.
Well, I think one thing that's
moves-wise, I'm just saying, as far
in
as
terms of what they're showing us, yes.
I thought he looked really slick.
I think he fights with a little bit more passion than Johnny would have at that point. I think Johnny was kind of maybe fighting, like to fight or to defend titles, whereas Miguel, like you said, defending Sam's honor, standing up for himself. I could be completely wrong, but I think at that moment,
you're right. And also using the tray. It was just right.
Just cool.
I think fight coordinating is so interesting to compare eras because, again, you talk about what you see in that movie, who was maybe more believable. But like you go back to some of those movies from the 80s, like there's a very famous fight at the end of Lethal Weapon where Busey fights Mel Gibson.
It's just awful. One of the worst fights I've ever seen.
But when you go and look that one up and you read about it, I mean, they trained with the Gracies. They were like, that was like a perfectly choreographed, the best in the world training movie stars to fight.
And yet we go,
and it looks bad when you watch it today.
Remember when we watched Roadhouse?
Oh yeah.
And to see actually how lame Swayze was, like hitting the bag.
Kevin, that's blasphemy. Don't say
I'm
that.
sorry. No, I love the movie and I love Swayze, but I'm saying what I noticed now as a more mature viewer was like, oh my God, he didn't really have great moves.
This is a true story. Kevin and I are getting a drink, and he's literally watching Roadhouse over my shoulder for a solid 2 hours. The conversations were about once every 3 minutes we'd like say something, and I just kept looking over. Roadhouse is on, so it's just a full movie. We just watched the entire
whole
movie.
thing.
At a bar. No sound.
This is what we do.
Good as it gets. Good as it gets. Yeah, so I love this scene. I also love that when he goes to see Johnny, he's like, I did everything you taught me. I anticipated. I slithered. That's a line that he throws in there that you never hear Johnny say to him. I want you to slither. I don't think anyway. But I heard him say it, and I was like, there's all kinds of cool snake euphemisms.
I think Johnny might have said that to him because like when he has him in, I don't know if it's one of the later episodes or earlier when he has him like in a chokehold, he's like,
headlock?
He's like, what does a cobra do?
Oh, slither? Okay, got it. So I missed that. Okay, so you
awesome.
You got me on that one. But yeah, so I love that. And then he's like, you did all that? You kicked all these bullies' asses or whatever? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I got something for you. And this was the moment, again, I teared up multiple times in this episode.
My heart.
When he's giving him the uniform, which obviously is then balanced out by one really tragic moment, but before you notice that Robbie's watching, he gives him the uniform. And you kind of know when he's like, I have something for you, what it's going to be, obviously. You know he's going to give him something special, and the only thing of value that guy probably owns at this point.
I was hoping it was going to be a beer, but...
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, he gives him... he gives him the uniform and he gives him the hug, and it was such a heartwarming.
It was the white one, which
doesn't mean the black one yet.
Yeah, not yet. But he had ones in the original Karate Kid. You saw him train in the white one.
He's like, this is when I was training for my first tournament in '81.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow.
That was Rocky giving out his red, white, and blue trunks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Or Creed giving it to Rocky, and
yeah.
Rocky giving it to Morrison, or Tommy, and then now to Creed.
Yeah, right.
It's that moment.
I thought that was just such a big moment for Johnny too. The fact that he's taking initiative and he's caring about someone and like trying to help him.
Yeah.
And he's giving him this, his gi basically. And I just think it was so big for him because it's like you see Johnny caring finally. And then of course, as you said, the equally tragic moment where his son comes up, which to his son's probably going to be like, you know what, Dad, I'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
And then boom, chance over.
I know, and it's interesting the juxtaposition there between the two things, right? So he gives the gi. And you're like, oh, great, he's taking care of someone. And then you see the son, you're like, oh, the kid that he should have been taking care of his whole life that he didn't. You're like, oh, this is so sad.
It's sad, too, because it's like in Johnny's mind, he has no chance. Like, he has to, like, walk away because that's what the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend and his son have been saying. So that's what he feels. He feels like he has to walk away. He didn't feel like he could help him out.
Right.
So that's, like, just the also tragic thing. So he's like, I feel like I can't help you, but I know I can help him.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So I do want to get some behind the scenes here, but before I do, I want to remind everybody here, guys, please check us out on iTunes. We do this content here at AfterBuzz TV all the time. We will never charge you anything for it. It's always going to be free. And if you help us out with a rating or review, it will help us keep doing the content so we can keep bringing it to you. Just go find us on iTunes, and if you give us a rating, what you think, review.
Just give us 5 stars because the other ones don't work. Just do it.
Yeah, the others they malfunction. The 5's the only one that works. And we'll read off your comments. We'll check it out, and you will hear AfterBuzz hosts read your comments about your favorite shows. We also have multiple YouTube channels of all the various genres of AfterBuzz, everything from reality TV to red carpets to drama to sci-fi. And those hosts will also read your YouTube comments. So go subscribe, check it out. Give us a good review, and you'll hear your name.
Yeah, please, if you subscribe to this channel, which I think is AfterBuzz Drama, but you can subscribe to other channels too. And if you do, again, like Ben said, let us know in the comments so we can send you some love back. Also, please give us all your comments. Feel free to disagree or agree with us. I'm going to read you guys some Karate Kid facts behind the scenes. Before I do, I love, Veronica, your knowledge of karate. I'm super impressed.
Oh, thank you.
And before and this is another thing that could be debated. We, talked on the part 1 about who's the bully here, who's the villain. We also talked about what other franchises could be brought back. the discussion about the actual crane kick being illegal. Can you speak to that?
Yes,
Please.
I can. Obviously, it's been a debate for years now on whether the kick was illegal. Short answer, yes, it was. I mean, William Zabka came out and said of it. Ralph Macchio pretty much came out and said it was illegal. And they addressed in the first episode, that illegal kick to the face.
Right.
Some people still think it's not because, they're like, kicks to the faces is okay. But as per research in the
it's right there.
Yeah. In the World Karate Federation handbook, Article 8, Category 2, Number 9, it says, techniques which, by their nature, cannot be controlled for the safety of the opponent and dangerous and uncontrolled attacks. Basically, that crane kick was, uncontrolled. You had to go for force. It couldn't be, a little tap or anything. And as you see in his reaction, his head goes back and he falls flat to the floor. Anything involving the face where you can hit, you could break a nose, you can knock your teeth out, you can, black eye, throw, anything like that is pretty much illegal because you can't control it. So because he couldn't control it,
then it's illegal.
It's illegal.
Look, are we not living Cobra Kai here? We've got our rookie nerd who we would never let in the dojo, but now she shows how incredibly valuable she is.
But I have to 100% disagree. Okay. Although you are looking at a Taekwondo second degree black belt master,
Rick's
been in many
Rick's
tournaments.
Offended. We should have gone to him.
I would actually say that the crane kick is legal, but that's also karate. So, which I know that karate is weaker than Taekwondo. So,
well, to your point, people still debate it. Some people are like, no, it's not illegal because, as Ali points out in the beginning, anything above your waist is a point. Head, ribs, abdomen, it's a point. So face, head, technically, sure, maybe. So some people argue that. But as per this handbook, anything that you can't control is illegal. And so it felt like that was uncontrolled.
All right. Agree or disagree, please. First, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And then second, go to our comments. And feel free to agree with Veronica or agree with Rick. Or tell us about Roadhouse.
Roadhouse?
Yeah. Tell us about Roadhouse and the lack of the poor fighting in that.
And ripping out throats.
That Patrick Swayze started Roadhouse, released 1989. There
you know what? That's another show.
That's another one.
Okay, you guys, just really quick, take us out. Before we send you off to part 3, some behind the scenes facts about the original Karate Kid. So, in the first movie, we said Ralph Macchio was 56. At the taping of this series.
I believe it's 57.
Now he's 57.
But probably taping is 56, right?
Pat Morita in the first movie was 51. Kind of gives you an indication how people aged back then. Differently, right?
Crazy.
It's kind of interesting. DC Comics owned the name Karate Kid. So there was some work that had to be done in the original movie, and there's a thank you actually in the credits of the original film to DC Comics.
Interesting.
Which I never knew why. Sean Penn and Charlie Sheen turned down the role of Daniel back in the day.
Interesting. That's early. I mean, Taps is 81, so that's only. They would have been filming this in 83.
And I'd say good career move for them.
At the same time, but as Daniel,
yes,
because those guys were already kind of the ultimate. Literally, Sean Penn was in a movie called Bad Boys,
right?
And then Charlie Sheen. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. he was and he still is one of the ultimate bad boys.
Yeah, you couldn't convince me that those two probably would have been wimpy.
But typically, you want to grab a name, for a draw. I think it was an amazing move that they didn't, but I get why they didn't, and also we're happy.
I think it could have worked for Sheen. I don't think it would work for Penn. I think it could have worked for Sheen because his career in the 80s, other than Platoon.
I know, but does he? I think from Veronica's saying, did he have the vulnerability and the sweetness and the I don't think he had that.
Yeah, sweet enough. I agree.
Or even his heart, the edge. He's got more. Okay, a lot of nepotism in the filming of the first film. The character of Dutch, he's the super blonde guy from Cobra Kai. That was Steve.
Chad McQueen.
Steve McQueen's child. Okay. The character of Chucky, who invites Daniel to the beach where he gets beat up by first time he gets beat up by Johnny. Frankie Avalon's son, the singer Frankie Avalon.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Pretty cool, right? Talking about. You mentioned Bill Conti, the one of my favorite film composers of all time, who cut his teeth on Rocky, and his score just continues to come back even through the Creed series. Well, John Avildsen was the director of the first Rocky, and I believe he also directed the fifth. He did direct the fifth. I don't know if he directed any others, but Bill Conti and John Avildsen worked together on the Karate Kid series. So in the first, movie, Bill Conti had the score and John Avildsen was the director. You can see the similarities, right? It's like this is almost like a junior Rocky.
Well, it's interesting too to speak to that point, right? That Rocky 1 comes out in '76, right? And so by the time this franchise starts, the Rocky franchise is hitting its mid to end. I mean, Rocky 4 comes out in '85, the year after this, and the tone of Rocky, even just as a franchise, changes a little bit. It gets kind of cheesier a little bit, gets a little more kid friendly.
Yes.
Rocky 3 is definitely a little harder. Rocky 5 is pretty cornball. So yeah, not surprising.
We don't talk about Rocky 5.
It's one of those ones that just doesn't exist, and that's we were talking about that before the show started. And one of the things we like about this, and we'll probably talk about in a future episode, is the fact that the creators of this series have said 100% that within the world of Cobra Kai, Karate Kid, Karate Kid 2, Karate Kid 3, and Karate Kid 4 all exist in this world. They all happened, and I love that. And like to your point, Rick. Usually, Godfather 3 doesn't exist. Caddyshack 2 doesn't exist. Meatballs 2 doesn't exist. Probably Rocky 5 doesn't exist. Usually fact-wise, they kind of just, filmmakers and producers kind of just, okay, that never happened. Here we go again.
Jurassic Park 2 and 3 are retconned right now. They got rid of them both for these new films. It's a horrible decision. Makes no sense.
So I love the fact that these guys are doing this because I love honoring the good and the bad. But then it just leaves the door open, which we'll get to in another episode about what is, I'm not even saying could come, what is going to come.
Right.
And okay, I'll throw another Hail Mary, but I actually see Hilary Swank working with Samantha.
Really?
At some point, yes.
You don't think that the fourth was like too in its own world that it would feel weird
and
coming
the
back
thought
in?
and the thought is many theories along the is that they would have met because they were both close to Miyagi and probably met at his funeral. So now Hilary Swank hasn't been approached like that. I know from people I've talked to, but I do know the writers have said, "Hey, nothing is off limits," and 100% that happened. And I love this.
I mean, in theory, Hilary Swank's a little highbrow to come back into Karate Kid after being a 2-time Oscar winner, but she's really not doing that much.
But the business has changed, you guys,
Yeah.
and sometimes there is a backlash fear that even Melissa McCarthy, when Gilmore Girls just didn't ask her back because they're like, Melissa McCarthy's never going to do this. So then the fans were like, "Oh, Miss McCarthy, you sold out." She's like, "Whoa, they never even asked me. I would have done." So now it's kind of the cool thing to. So I think it's well within reality to come back and do this. So I think you'll see it. But
I think it'll be smart.
Getting back to the Rocky things, the song "You're the Best," which we opened our recap series with, was actually offered to Rocky 3 first, and Stallone ended up picking Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, and which I think we talked about this earlier. I think that worked out off air. I mean, that worked out great for both franchises because You're the Best just fits Karate Kid, and obviously Eye of the Tiger fits Rocky 3 like a glove. Karate Kid 2 made more money than the Karate Kid, but it also beat Rocky 2 and pretty much so many other sequels.
Yeah. Yeah, it was huge.
Whether you like the movie or not, it did. It made a ton.
Karate Kid 2 was amazing.
Made a ton of money. And then the yellow car that Miyagi gifts to Daniel, the producers actually gave that to Ralph Macchio, and he owns it to this day.
Cool.
That's and really you know what? That's a little bit of something there to chew on. Yeah. A little behind the scenes facts.
All right. All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Karate Kid Cobra Kai Team. Where can the viewers find
And as
us?
we say, Pot 2. Sorry, being in Boston. You can find me at Undergaro, and I do AfterBuzz TV Jersey Shore. I do AfterBuzz TV Bar Rescue, AfterBuzz TV Billions, and a little fun show called The Tomorrow Show.
And he, just runs the company. That's all. Rick.
No big deal.
Hey guys, I'm Rick Hong. You can find me on all social media at Rick Hong. Next Sunday, we're premiering the after show for Glow at 5 o'clock. So please watch out as we cover the season. And every Sunday at 7 p.m., I do Netflix picks. So you want to know what to watch on Netflix? Hit us up.
And Veronica? By the way, and your Glow thing, but you're being so humble. Like you're having Mark Maron, like you're having all these amazing people come in, right, for the series?
Well, Mark Maron is scheduled to come in July 15th. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but but he said that he would. So like, there's at least, and we're trying to bring on a lot more of this the cast. So please tune in.
Have you thought about bringing any original Glow?
Well, Little Egypt is going to be on the panel with me. She is one of the original Glow ladies. Last year we had Hollywood Jeannie Bassan on. We had Lady Godiva on. Cool. We had
so cool.
Yeah, we had a bunch of the original people. So like this year we're trying to bring the actual cast on. So
good stuff.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V.
Rookie of the Dojo.
Rookie. Woo! And you guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. Check back for part 3. It's coming at you very soon. We're doing the rest of Cobra Kai, so don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
No mercy!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.